Okay. Hello, everyone. This is Brandon Bledsoe at the Three Percenters Club, Tennessee. The reason I just flipped my camera around is because this is now my fourth attempt at making this video, I think. Earlier, you saw me hauling my pack, and I promised you a video where we would get into the bags and everything, and that's what we're about to do. And I made this video on my camcorder earlier, and either the file was too big or Facebook didn't like it or something. I don't know. It works off my phone better, so that's what we're going to do. I was in the middle of recording it the second time there, and it my mother called, and it automatically saves your file, and I don't want to be piecing it together. And then apparently I got a message from somebody or something, and that stopped my video the next time, and I had no idea, and I was just standing there talking, going through what I was going to say, and I flip it around to go into the bags, and nothing there. So anyways, let's go right into it again. Bugging out is the conscious decision to leave your home for a different destination in the event of an emergency or disaster, man-made or otherwise. And it is not, you're not going to go set up in the woods all Rambo style or anything. We are not Bear Grylls or Les Stroud. You'll hear me mention them a lot, and I'm not picking on them. They're very good at what they do. But that's not us. And we'll talk more about levels of preparation here in a little while. It's a 72-hour bag. That's what you got. And that's the minimum of survival in my book. If you can't do that, you shouldn't be prepping for the next 50 years unless you're experienced at this. And bugging out, it should be almost your last resort, in my opinion. I mean, you got to think you're giving up your home. But if you have to, you have to, and that's why we're planning. We don't want to be caught with our pants down in a disaster. And we're trying to avoid that. It's what's going to separate us from the animals here. Now, when you start building your bug out bag, I want you to understand it's an investment of time and money. It's going to take both of those things. And it is an investment. And it's a good investment. It's like life insurance or health insurance or car insurance. This is disaster insurance of an entirely different brand. But it is going to take time and money. And hopefully, by using these videos and everything, you'll be able to space out your purchases and take the time to practice and work at it and find what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And because it's going to take a lot of time and practice, but we'll talk about that. You don't want to put the cheapest stuff in this thing, and you don't, because if you do, you're going to be thinking, well, this will work under the best conditions. No, you want it to work under the worst of conditions. So you'll need to put the time and money into it, but it's okay, because to me, it's a fun and rewarding experience. You learn so many new skills and get knowledge trying to work with this equipment and learning how to use it. And I mean, the stuff you'll learn goes so far beyond just the bug out bag. It'll take you into a whole different level of survival and preparation over time. Let's go ahead and talk about the different levels of preparation. There's P3, P2, and P1. P1 is like Bear Grylls and Les Stroud. They can survive just about any situation with the stuff they can fit in their pockets. We will learn certain skills that they would use and everything, but that's not going to be us for the most part. We will probably be P2. P2 is your average packer. That's us. Someone who's taken the time to learn some things about it, and that's what we want to be. P3, they are completely at the mercy of their gear, and that's not good. Because you need this bag. You are going to need it. And earlier we talked about the survivor's mentality and everything, and how without the right stuff, you're just a very confident person. But you need both. You need the right stuff, and you need that confidence. And even the survivor guys on television and everything, they have the right stuff in their pockets. And the ability to live like that, that's wonderful for them. We're going to try and live out of our bag. So when you start building it, here's some things to take into consideration. First of all, who all are you building it for? If you're a single person, well, that's an obvious answer. But if you have a family, and most of our assumptions will be based that you do, you want to understand that the main pack is carried by the most able-bodied adult. And every other person will have a supplemental pack. Their pack will have their things, like their clothes and their hygiene items and whatnot, and the rest of their space and weight that they can handle will go to supplementing the main pack. It'll have food, water, maybe some more medicine. You also got to think, do you have children or elderly or disabled? Children should not be expected to carry their own pack until they're at least 6. And even then, it'll be a small pack. You probably shouldn't have them supplementing too much. Maybe they can handle their own water. But if you have anyone under 6 and everything, not only should you be prepared to haul their things, you should probably look for something to put them in. I personally use a 3-wheeled rugged stroller. A really heavy-duty stroller, or maybe a wagon. Radio Flyer even makes a model that would work out well for this, but they make ones that are like made of wire mesh and everything that are really great. And plus, you can fit more things and your child then. With the elderly and disabled, you got to think. Like, I have a great grandmother that if I bugged out with her, I'd have to carry her things. I would. That's just a fact of life. But some can, most, and I'm not picking on the elderly here. I'm just saying if they can't carry, you got to be prepared to help them. With the disabled, like if they have a wheelchair, don't even consider bugging out with a motorized wheelchair. The battery will die. The thing most likely will not move without a battery. And even if it does, it's going to be heavier and less mobile than your old school heavy duty metal wheelchair. Not to mention, if you have one of those, which you should get one and keep on hand as part of your bug out kit now if you need it. If you need it. Don't say that I told you to buy a wheelchair if you don't need it. You can put their things, hang it off the back of it. The next thing you're going to have to think about is where are you going? My pack will be different from somebody who lives in California or near the Canadian border. Most of us live here in Tennessee, and we know that depending on where you're going, you could see several different types of terrain and climate all at once. So our packs will be pretty general. Don't show this thing to everybody. Practice a little bit of urban camouflage. I'm showing you my stuff. I'm going to take a second to make sure the camera's still running here before I... Okay, it is. Good. I'm going to show you my stuff, and you're going to see some of my home and some of the stuff I do, but I'm sharing knowledge, and you can share it with your family and some very trusted friends, but, don't show this thing to everyone that enters your house. You entertain the new neighbors. Don't show them your bug out bag. Kind of hide it away. But with that, don't stick it in a corner and just leave it. You need to at least get into this thing twice a year. But I think you'll be in it a lot more than that. I'm always in mine working on something. Don't just stick it and leave it, and don't show it off. It's, we'll talk about it here in a second when we talk about, let's just go ahead and talk about it. You're not going to want to build this thing to be too tricked out either. I mean, mine has a lot of pouches and stuff. I'm obviously carrying a decent load when you see it. But if you put all the bells and whistles on the outside because you think hanging things individually outside will save you space, well, you're about to become a victim of the, hey, they have stuff occurrence. And that is where people whose only preparation is that they are prepared to take your things see that you have stuff. You'll obviously be toting a heavy pack, but let's try to keep it all inside if we can. Another thing to think about is tiers of bugging out. My best case scenario is that my one-day bag and my bug out kit, and I say kit, not bag, because I have to pack for an infant and everything right now, and my 10-day kit all go into my truck. And I can get to my destination with that way. And I keep my vehicle well maintained. And right now I'm working on extra gas storage for it. But that's my best case scenario. Worst case scenario is somebody's about to find some great stuff besides my bug out kit and my personal weapon and everything. But they're about to find some great stuff because I'm going to leave it and go just to the bug out kit and have to hump the rest on foot. But these are all things to take into account. Don't be a victim of the, hey, they have stuff mentality. But with that said, and we've discussed our levels of preparedness and everything, and the fact that this is going to take time and money, you have to understand, I've made this video so many times I may actually repeat myself here now, but you have to understand, and I'm going to steal a line from a movie, this is not a weekend retreat. This is not a seminar. This is your life. So take it seriously. And you'll thank yourself for it. And so, now that I've told you you're going to have to spend money on it, let's look at the thing you're going to have to spend money on first. The obvious answer, the bag. You have a lot of choices out there. You have, your three main types of packs are frameless, no support, internal frame, and external frame. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you my personal recommendation is to get something with a frame. I prefer external frame. I use a military MOLLE pack because that's what I used in the service, and it's one of the biggest, and it holds most of my stuff so far. I'm working on it. But when you're buying this, also don't order it off the internet. I could order off the internet because I know I want a military MOLLE pack, and if I break mine, I can order replacements for it offline because they're all the same. But if you're picking your first pack for this and everything, don't go on the internet. Go to a store, try them out. The retailer will let you try them on. A lot of them will even let you they'll put things in there for you to simulate weight so you'll know how it carries. But if I remember any more, I'm sorry if I ramble or I seem kind of disjointed, but we'll get to it. But let's go ahead and look at some bags. This right here is an Army assault pack, and it is right now being used as my food bag. But see, it has very little support. It has a plastic, let's look at it. Well, that'll be hard to get into, but it has a plastic sheet inserted in this back piece here. That's not really support. It's got kind of thin straps and everything. That would be my one-day pack. I don't recommend it to be a total bug-out bag. It's still pretty big and hefty, but it's not what you need. Another supportless option I've seen a lot of people go for is the military duffel bag. And it's not a good option. I mean, I love them. You can fit lots of stuff, and if I'm in my vehicle, it'll hold extra clothes and everything. And it has back straps, but these back straps will rip away. I've seen it happen. And then you have to revert to your secondary option, which is your carry handle. You don't want to limit what your hands can do. So that's not a good option. That's a supplemental bag for in a vehicle. This here, I've had for quite a while. It's got some miles on it. It actually, ironically, says bug out gear on it, which doesn't mean anything. But this pack has internal supports. And it's a fairly large pack. It can be expanded or collapsed based on what you need. It has room for a camelback, so it makes a pretty good option. I think a person who's bugging out by themselves could get away with this if they needed to. It has, in the back here, it has these two slots for these metal slats here, and that makes your internal support, which is way better than no support. It has a lot of room, but one of the problems it suffers from is when you open it, you have to open it very little, or you have to lay it out and open it because it's what we call a black hole bag. Now, I'm not completely putting down the black hole bag, but it doesn't have a whole lot of compartmentalization going for it, and it can easily dump your stuff. Again, that may become the new food bag, but this is your external frame, mother of all bags, the military MOLLE pack. Yes, I'm going to walk around it slowly so you can see. Things I love about this. First of all, the reason it's called MOLLE is these wonderful little loops here to which you can attach other military gear, like those bags that come with it that are on the side.